All and welcome to the May 13th Committee of the Whole meeting. And we're going to call up our exchange students.
Yep, two presentations tonight. One I think we're very interested in hearing from our exchange students and have them share their experiences. So ladies, take it away. So make sure it's speaking into the microphone. There's
Hello, test. Oh, okay, it works.
thousands of people listening on the internet right now, so I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm Louise Fischer. I'm 17 years old, and I come from Germany. Yeah, the first picture, that's me. I go to a linguistic high school in Germany, and I learn English, French, and Spanish. And in my free time, I play field hockey, and I'm a coach there, an assistant coach, and a ref. And here in the USA, I play field hockey too, or I played it in fall. And then during the winter, I played indoor hockey in a club, and I did winter track. And now, during the spring, I do track and field, and I really enjoy it. So my experiences here at school. So I realized that sports play a significant role here at high school. Like, it's not like in Germany. I just go to school, have my classes, and then I go back I go back home, and then I go to my clubs, and they're outside of school, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with school. And students can choose their classes. That's also different. I just have a schedule that is chosen by my school, a linguistic schedule for me because I chose that path for my school. But here I can choose my classes, everything I want, and that was really cool for me as an exchange student. The teacher-student relationship is closer. In Germany, I look up at my teachers. It's not like that I talk about anything private with my teachers. Here it's different. They're kind of friends to me, I really like that about America. Then activities outside of my classes, yes, still in school, but outside of my classes, are really cool too. Like all the clubs that we can that we can join to, and the sports and dances, prom, homecoming, winter formal. We don't have that in Germany. And yeah, experiences in general in the US. I live in a big city in Germany, and I take the bus every day, and I use the subway. Here, there's no bus, there's no subway. There's the school bus, but I don't even use it because I have a host sister my age who drives me to school. And that's actually impressive. Like, when I came here, everyone could drive. Was 16. I'm 16. I should be able to drive, but I don't even know how to drive. So I have to wait until I'm 18 until I can drive. When I came here, we drove from the airport to Shippensburg, and what I realized is that everything was so far apart from each other. Like buildings and like the supermarket, you can't just walk down to Giant. You have to take the car and drive like 5 minutes, 2 minutes to go to Giant. Like, I just walk around through my city or take the bus to the store where I want to go. I can't do that here. I need a car. I need someone to drive me. For me as an exchange student, that's hard. That's a hard part because I always need someone who drives me to places I want to go. Also, Amish people. When I saw the horses and the buggies, I wondered what that is and who those people are. Yeah. Actually, I like the food. I like the Amish food. That's the best part about here in America. Like here, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. That's cool. And I realized that patriotism plays a huge role here in America. Like I come from Germany, and Germany has its huge history and stuff, we can't really be proud of our country because of the history. That's different here in America. And yeah, again, my experiences here in the US, like where I went with AYUSA, with my organization, to Harrisburg, to Lancaster, to New York City, Washington, DC, and Philadelphia. And with my host family, I went like right in the beginning when I came here to the beach at Delaware, New Jersey. And generally traveled all around Pennsylvania, took a lot of hikes, and we saw a lot of waterfalls. And we went to Baltimore, West Virginia, and I just came back from Niagara Falls today. So, yeah. And in future, I will go to Williamsburg, Virginia, to the Outer Banks, to Savannah, and to Georgia. And I'm really excited for that. Thank you. So, that's it.
Well, hi, I'm Lucia. I'm from Spain, from Madrid. In my high school, I decided to go from a scientific path, and I'm a basketball player since I was 6. I'm also a school mediator. That it basically consists when two people have a problem, you're kind of in the middle to solve that. So if there's not like a teacher on the break, you can like help to solve that and improve that. I came here thanks to AYUSA. That's our program in Pennsylvania, and I'm really thankful to that because I was able to do a lot of things. Here in USA, I did cross country, basketball, of course, and track and field. I'm thankful that I was able to go to Mid-Penn. Well, my experience on the high school, I realized that sports are actually really important, and it's the way you can make friends, because in classes here, you switch classes, but it's not like where you're gonna stay with your friends all the time, because at sports, you see them all the time, so it's gonna be better. You also, like as Lou said, you have a close student relationship, and we also have that, but I feel like here is more like your friend. Even if you actually have to talk to your teachers like Mrs. Who or Mr. Who, but I feel like it's closer. The classes are fun to learn, and it's not only theory. In my school system in Spain, it's actually really hard because teachers just want us to memorize what are we studying and just forget it in 2 days, because nobody cares about that. Just have a good grade in your test. But here, they actually tell you how to actually truly learn, and I think it's better. The Spirit Week makes you feel part of the group here. It's like a whole thing when you can feel like part of the high school, like you're doing something in the high school, and I feel like it's really fun for me. People here are really nice and include you. And the American buses also, it's just something, because in our countries, basically in whole Europe, we use public transportation. So it's kind of hard, because the American buses just pick you up at your house and they leave you at your house. And you don't have to do, basically, you don't have to walk nothing. And it's so much better, but yeah. And the activities of the high school that I participate on, I was in the mini-thon night at the high school. I think that was one of the best nights that I've been on here in the high school. Like, I had so much fun in that, and I'm thankful that I was there, helping and everything. I was part of the Powerpuff team, and from the senior, I actually did a touchdown, and I'm really thankful that we do that. So it's not only the boys, like for play that sport. We also play like the girls, and it's really fun. The senior nights, thanks to sports. I've been on the homecoming, winter prom, and prom, and we don't have that in our school, and I'm really thankful that I've been there, so I can like experience that. And the graduation and all-night party with seniors, that I didn't do that yet, but I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it, and I think that it's gonna be really fun. Well, my experience in the U.S., a little bit of like the places where I've been in, well, thanks to AYUSA, I went to Harrisburg, Lancaster, New York, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. They're all really good places, and I really like them. And I had a great host family this year. They took me to a lot of places, and I'm really thankful for that because I have friends that are doing exchange year, and they didn't have, are not that lucky for travel around USA. And yeah, I've been in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, and well, yeah, Hershey Park. And I also will go on a cruise to the Bahamas on June. So yeah, I had so much fun this year. You?
Okay. Hi, I'm Julia, and oh wait. Okay. I'm 18 and I'm from Italy, Modena. You probably don't know the city, but if I say Ferrari, like the car, do you know it? Okay, I'm 15 minutes away from the city where it was born. So, okay. I've been here only for the second semester. And in Italy, I'm doing a school where I study administration, finance, and marketing. And I study even English and Spanish. I played volleyball for 10 years, and I'm a school mediator too. Here in the US, I did track and field, javelin, but I didn't qualify for the mid-pen, unfortunately. My experience in high school, the fact that you can talk with teachers as friends is really interesting and incredible. Because, like in Italy, we don't have this relationship with it, like the teachers and the students. There are also interesting subjects such as media arts, and here you can join a club that we don't have them in Italy. And so, an experience. It's not really funny, but I get lost a million times in the hallways trying to find my classes. The sports are a part of school here, while in Italy, if I want to do a sport, I need to go like by myself outside the school, of course. And everyone tries to speak Italian to me and imitates my accent. It's not that funny, but okay. And oh, and yes, everyone here says that they're Italian, even if it's like her grandmother of her grandmother is Italian. Yes, I'm Italian too, but okay. And other experience that I did in high school are graduation, mini-thon, the senior night, the winter formal, the prom, and I will do the graduation and the all-night senior party in 2 weeks. And with Ayusa, I traveled, and the other exchange students, I went to Washington, D.C., Penn State, and Philadelphia. With my host family and friends, I went to New York, Hershey Park, Baltimore, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sara. I'm from Rome in Italy, and I'm 18. So there I am attending a linguistic high school where I study French, English, and Chinese Mandarin. I grew up being a swimmer, and then I quit to join gymnastics, but then I quit that too. I decided to do an exchange year, and thanks to AUSA, I came here in Shippensburg. Here, I participated in cross country in the fall, and then I was in the both swimming and diving team, and I qualified for mid-pen for both, and that was one of the best experiences that I've had, because I've never thought I would be able to do that. And then here during the spring, I was a trainer assistant and a track and field manager. My experience here at the high school, just like my friend said, is that school is really like a big part of like the life of students. Like everything revolves around the school, because like the sports are being like held in the school, and like the school organizes a lot of events. Okay, what? Okay, yeah, and I see a lot of people that are interested in my culture. Like they come up to me and they ask me questions about my country and how like it works there, and like the differences that are between like here and there. And I'm really happy to talk about my country. So here there's like the school spirit is very strong, which to me is like it makes me happy because it makes like I'm proud to be here. So it makes me happy to see everybody proud of their school, which is now also my school. Here I've participated into the mini-thon all night party, and that was really one of the best nights. I went to homecoming, winter formal, and prom, and we don't have those in Italy, or I think like even in other countries in Europe as well. And it was really fun to see like all of my friends dressing up and like just having fun. Also, I took a class that gave me the opportunity to work with the special need kids, and like helping them, like creating like fun evenings for them with like athletic stuff, and it was like really a good experience. And also, I took part of Powder Puff, and my team won, and I was the center, and it was really, really fun. Also, because before going to practices, I had no idea what the rules of football were like, and I spent the whole fall season watching football and having no idea what was going on. But after that, I can say that now I know how football rules are, what football rules are. And yeah, I'm gonna be, and also the senior night because of all the sports. And then I'm gonna be taking part of the graduation in 2 weeks, and then the all-night senior party. And I'm also gonna be helping for the best day ever, which is like the Olympics for the special need kids. Here, I consider myself really lucky because a lot of people that live here in America have not yet seen like a lot of cities and states in their own country. But being here, I've had the opportunity to visit a lot of places. With the USA, which is like our organization, we went to Harrisburg, Lancaster, New York, Washington, D.C., Penn State, and we'll go to Philadelphia. And then I consider myself also real lucky because of my host family, because they're a really amazing person, and they also took us to a lot of places, like Hershey Park. We went to West Virginia, to Orlando in Florida. They took us to Columbia and South Carolina, and Savannah, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and St. Augustine. And also, I have a twin brother, and he's also an exchange student, but he's in Colorado. And thanks to AUSA, I had the opportunity to meet him in Las Vegas because he was also taking a trip with his, the people from Colorado, like the other exchange student from Colorado. So, and I had the opportunity to meet him in Las Vegas, and me and him were really close. So it was really a heartwarming experience. So I'm really grateful for that. And lastly, we all want to thank the school board for giving us the opportunity to come here and making our dreams come true, and also the principal, all of the coordinators of the school, all of the teachers that made us feel like welcomed and helped us whenever we needed. Obviously, all of our coaches, our host families, and also all of our friends. Thank you.
Any questions for our guest tonight from the board?
I have so many questions. I don't know that I should ask all of them. What I really want to know is Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc? Charles? So for from Spain, so Alonso or Carlos Sainz? Okay. For those of you that are totally lost, those are all F1 drivers, so good answers.
Thank you.
No, so my real question, all of you are in, a lot of you are in language schools. Can you tell us more about what those are like?
Okay, so in our countries, we don't get to pick the classes that we have, but we get to pick the high school. So there's like a different types of high school that focus on different like field. Like we go to a linguistic high school, and then she goes to like an accounting high school, and so they focus on different fields of like in general, and you pick the high school, and there you have specific subject that you cannot choose to do, like you have to.
So do you have to apply to get into those schools, or are you automatically accepted?
You have to apply.
Okay.
So in my country, you have to apply to the high school, and maybe they don't take you because it's depend of your grades. So you can have a really good grade and be accepted by the teachers or the principal, or just have a good grade and still looking for another high school.
Yeah, here after middle school, you go to a high school, and you just have to pass middle school to go to a high school. But for me, like it's different to their country. But in my country, after middle school, which is like after elementary school, I go to a high school from 5th to 13th grade, and there are different levels of high school. And then there's the lower level, and then the middle level, and then the higher level, if I can say that like that. And yeah, and then we just take the path that we want to take, where we're interested in, and the school focuses with its classes on that path, that field.
Just one more follow-up. Has your English improved, like a lot, a little? You know?
A lot. For me, a lot. Like I struggled a lot with English at first, like in Germany. Now, improved. I would say I'm improved.
So I still don't have the perfect English, but I consider that I improved too. And it was just because, like, I wanted to came here since later just because of basketball, and I'm actually grateful because it wasn't just for basketball, it's also to learn English, because nowadays it's a really, like, if you don't learn English, at least in my country, it's going to be really hard to look for a job. So now I'm really thankful that I can like speak another language at least.
Yeah, mine is approved too. Like, but I've been here only for 4 months, so of course it's not perfect, but that's okay. Another fact about languages, like we start studying English in 1st grade, and then like we continue to study it for the whole elementary school, middle school, and high school. And then I studied French in middle school, and I'm studying English and Spanish in high school. And we have another year of high school, so we have 13 here, not 12. So when we come back to Italy, we will be senior in Italy. But like here, we're senior because it's the last year of high school. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, before I came here, I was pretty content with my level of English, but I've spent here 9 months, and I can totally say that my English has improved a lot, especially because we also have people that compliment us because they met us in the beginning of the year, and then they met us like a couple of months ago, and they can like see and hear like how much our English has improved.
So, first of all, thanks for your presentation. I enjoyed that. But all of you spoke about all your positive relationships with the teachers and staff and coaches and everything. So thanks to all of those people, because it's really important in this whole thing. In general, I always get really excited about foreign exchange students. I think it's awesome. Like, I've never traveled outside the country. I think you're incredibly brave to do that. I'm still scared to travel outside the country. Like, I'm in my little bubble here. But I always hope that our school and our community makes a positive impact on our foreign exchange students. But all that being said, I think we have, and I think we've done a great job of that in the past. But I think all 4 of you have made a positive impact on our community with everything that you've been involved with all the extracurriculars and events that you've done. So thank you for leaving your mark on Shippensburg.
So I don't really have a question, but more so just commenting on the bravery that it takes to kind of come to another country and step outside of your comfort zones and to kind of immerse yourself into a whole new culture. And I know that some of you have made statements about the impact of sports and making friends, and I'm so thankful that you made that comment because we are very, we support athletics and know the importance that athletics also, complement academics. And some of you were on the track team with my daughter, and she's like, I just love them. So thank you all for your willingness to participate.
Why?
Olivia.
It's like her mother. Why did you only come 4 months?
Okay, because I wanted to do the whole year, but my mom didn't want to. No, okay, it's different because the first 2 years of high school, I did a different school and I changed the third year, so I couldn't go the whole year in another country and skip the whole year of school. But it's it's the reason for why I didn't do that here, but I really wanted to and I regretted it much.
All right, well, ladies, thank you very much. Just before anyone asks, we are planning to hang up the flags in the cafeteria as soon as we get them. And all flags that we have are currently hanging. So progress there. We will have a memory of you guys for forever. So thank you very much for your time.
One more thing. When are you leaving?
Okay, I'm leaving in 1 month. From today, I'm leaving in 1 month. So June 12, 13.
So she and me, we're living at the same house, so we try to live at the same time. And I'm leaving different hours, but we're leaving on June 16. And
I will leave June 29th.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Great job, ladies.
thank you.
Next up, we have SiteLogic to discuss and give information on our GISA project and the bids that came in. So I'll turn it over to Rochelle. We just have to switch. So just as a reminder to the board, this is a part of the high school, middle school project. It's pulled out under GISA, which is a energy saving program that operates under different rules that I'm sure Rochelle is going to go into much greater detail on. And,
Okay, well, my presentation is not going to be as exciting as that. But congratulations on a great program. That's really awesome that you guys do that. So, okay, I just want to give you an update on where we stand. So these are going to be the phase 3 projects that we've been talking about. So I'm going to start with the asset protection GISA project and give you an update on that. And then I will go into the public bid and give you a little bit of an update on that one as well. Okay, so for the asset protection, if you guys recall, the district approved an early procurement package. Back at the end of last year, it was about a $1.96 million package so that we could get the equipment here just because of all the lead time issues that we have been experiencing in the construction industry. So recently we have bid out the second portion of the GISA, which is the installation of that equipment and some other minor equipment that goes along with it. As discussed before, that work will take place over 2 summers. There'll be 2024 and 2025, so that we're not disrupting your educational process during the school year. So the budget for the installation portion was $6.9 million. It has come in about 7.19, a little bit over the budget, about 266,000, based off of our estimate. One of the reasons it came in over budget is because we had to add smoke fence onto your auditorium stage. When we upgraded the HVAC system in there, the code required us to put smoke vents in there, and that was a little bit over $100,000 to do that. Any questions on the GISA portion of the project? If you guys decide to move forward, we do have to advertise for 10 days. That advertisement can go on your website or in a newspaper. It will be a not to exceed price. I believe right now it was 7.5, but again, that's just a not to exceed price. The final number will be voted on at your May 28th meeting if you guys decide to move forward with the installation package.
Excuse me. Can you explain to me about the snow fence?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Explain to me about the snow fence. You said what?
Smoke.
Oh, smoke vents.
Smoke vents.
Yeah, so on your stage, when you guys do productions like musicals and stuff, sometimes they'll use like fake smoke and stuff
At the high school.
at the high school. Yeah, and then they have to vent that. You guys don't have that right now.
Okay.
And when we upgraded the HVAC system, that kicked in the code requirement to do that.
Okay, thank you.
So they'll be cut into your roof over the stage and hooked to a system that will automatically open them at a certain point.
So,
Snow fence.
Oh no, smoke vents.
and when you say revised budget, this is just the budget we're putting out to bid. This isn't money we've spent already, right? This is just it'll be a higher bid, right?
Well, you've approved the pre-purchase part of it. What was set aside for the remainder was the 6.9, and it came in at 7.19. So it came in slightly over what we had anticipated for the estimate that we did. And again, part of the reason was these new smoke vents that we had to put in that was not in the original estimate.
Right. But we haven't spent that money yet.
No,
No, you have not.
We're going to vote on
To spend that.
to spend that.
Right. Okay.
Right? If you move forward, you guys will vote on May 28th after the 10-day notice. Any other questions regarding the asset protection portion? Okay. I'll move into the stadium. I'll just give you an update. I'm sure you guys have already known since I'm kind of tracking your whole budget. I'm kind of mirroring the same breakdown that I provide to the district every month. So your budget for the stadium was 5.6. That included the soft costs for the stadium. It has come in, including the soft costs, at 4.119. However, I do see in your agenda that you are picking some alternates. So that number for the stadium will go up. It looks like about $129,000. So we'll adjust that number after you guys, if that vote gets approved, we will go ahead and amend that number for the stadium to include the alternates, but well under the estimate and the amount set aside for the stadium. So that extra money will be put down, and you guys can then choose and let me know where you want to show that additional money, whether you put it through your elementary school projects or just keep it in the bottom line number for the future. As far as the site work, we are in the process of doing an updated estimate. We did get some good drawings from K&W that have gotten approved by the borough. The borough has added sidewalks that were not originally in the estimate to begin with for the middle school loop and the site work to support the new additions. So that, again, is being estimated, and as soon as that is done, I will bring that back to the board and let you know where that estimate stands at this time. But again, there will be some additional costs that was not in there originally due to the sidewalks that the borough added. However, you guys did get the $450,000 grant to put towards your site work. So that is also a good thing.
And that's not shown on your numbers here, correct?
I have it at the bottom here because I was going to get with Christy to see where she wants to show that.
Did you get justification for the sidewalk?
Did I get specifications?
Did the borough give you justification for why they wanted the sidewalk?
I would have to ask K&W. It had something to do with getting people to the stadium. So they do run along Eberly Road, and they just gave us really the length, but I can get more detail from K&W since they're the ones who went through the permit process.
'Cause I believe I was told the sidewalk goes out to Row Road.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, and when I give the update of the estimate, I'll have a drawing with me, and I can highlight exactly the sidewalks that they added, and I can find out at that time why they added them.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Can I go back a little bit?
Yep.
The Giza part, you said it's going to be spanned over 2 summers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which, like, roughly what work would be done, like, this summer compared to next?
Yeah, so this summer, we're going to try to do the DOAS units on one half of the building. Just because we're getting such a late start in summer, by the time we order steel and everything that has to go in the cafeteria and the auditorium, we won't have enough time to get that done before school starts. So we have divided that up, and it's mostly the DOAS units on the classroom side, kind of leaving the big group areas for next summer so that we have time to plan, get the steel, so that as soon as school is out next year, we're hitting the ground running and not waiting for material. So it was more of a timing thing.
Okay.
Okay, so this sheet is the public bid project. This kind of mirrors the scaled down project that was recommended by the administration back in January, February. Nothing on this has changed. It is still the budgeted amounts that were shown to you back then. The EI and K&W are still progressing with the design drawings. They anticipate them being done in probably July, but we'll have to wait to go out to bid because we will not have the NPDS permit approvals yet from the Conservation District. So we will have to wait until September to actually bid out the public bid portions of the project. And I'll go over that here in another slide. But none of these numbers, like I said, have changed since the last time you saw them. In addition to the middle school, same projects that you guys approved, the band room addition and the administration office. Still showing the $3 million for the elementary school project that has been set aside. The project soft costs, we were able to reduce by $250,000. I believe at your last meeting, you guys voted SiteLogic is able to encompass the work you needed for your clerk of the works to assist the district with your stadium project. So we had put that $250 that was originally set aside for the clerk of the works back into your bottom line, so you can spend somewhere else. And we will help, like I said, the district. We've come up with some requirements that the district would like that person from SiteLogic to do. This person will be in addition to the other person who will be on site overseeing the public bid and the GISA project.
I have a question. On that list there, what if there's something on there we want to do? We still get pay for it? Let's say there's something on that list that we don't want to do any longer. We still have to pay for it?
As far as project,
Yeah.
or
Let's say a project on there we don't want to do anymore.
if you guys vote to take off a project, then we will take that off.
Do that. I'm asking if we can do it later on.
It will bid out, the public bid will bid out in July, so if you're going to want to do that, you're going to want to do it before it bids out or when it bids out. If you want to, it's not broken down into individual parts at this time, the project. So if you want to do that, then we would need to make that addition if you'd want to look at it separate as an alternate. And that isn't how it's set up right now. If you do want to set it up like that, then that would be something we would need to know before we go out to bid.
I would like to know from the board, we gonna go with all these things or not?
Fred, can you move the
Excuse me.
microphone a little closer to you?
Are we gonna go with all these things on our list or not? We have another
So
board.
this, Fred, you may remember we had a meeting where we walked through all the different options. An administrative recommendation was made. There was discussion. You know, people had an opportunity to talk about what they wanted in the project that was not on the list, and also an opportunity to take things out of this initial bid. You know, so this is what got approved to move forward. You know, if you know there's a change of heart among the board, you know, I think I heard Rochelle say that some of these could be deducts. But we need to make it.
We need to know that now because that's how we would have to configure the bid documents and the bid form if you guys want to show that separately. Because right now, all the ones that are shown in this list are considered the base bid. There were no alternates taken at that time when this vote was done.
So because we need to know this now, can we just go around one more time with, are we good with this public bid project that's going to go out in July?
Does this include the elementary schools?
No, the elementary school is just a number that's been set aside. The bid that will go, or the project that will go out to bid in, towards the end of summer does not include the elementary schools.
Superintendent, have we got the population that's back from that company we hired to tell us about the population?
I'm expecting that at the end of the month, Fred. So that's money set aside for that project,
Yeah, I know.
and there's additional borrowing capability.
And you save from the stadium that you could also put towards the elementary school.
So if we went, if we did everything on that board, we could still do the elementary schools?
Right now, there's 3 million set aside for the elementary schools. You could also, if you choose to, if the board chooses to, could put the additional money that you save from the stadium and, on that line item as well. But right now, there's 3 million shown in this budget for the elementary schools.
Do you have any idea what 3 million would buy us?
I do not even know what, I know there's been a lot of discussions about classrooms at certain elementary schools, but I'm not sure even where you guys have landed with your programming.
Superintendent, you have any idea what 3 million would buy us?
I mean, not off the top of my head, Fred. I think a typical classroom is easily $350,000, and that's just very back of the napkin from my memory of a year and a half ago. But I think you have to remember that's $3 million is not the only monies that could be spent at the elementary level, Fred. There are additional monies that are within a borrow that we could expand that. It's really a little too early to even begin that because we haven't sat down through a design phase to do that.
When will that, when will the elementary school projects be discussed and start that planning?
So, I would lean on the board. I think the board has to understand we are currently under like 2 major construction projects, and that chews up a lot of people's time around the table. My hope would be that at least we get the stadium done and we get part of this summer cleared so that we can focus on the elementary schools and begin that design process. There is a limit to how much construction the administration can do at one time, and still run the district. So, my answer would be, let's get the projects that we have in the pipeline started, and once they're rolling, and they're at a certain point where they're closing, we can start to open those discussions about the elementary schools. I will remind folks that in this budget, we have put in 2 additional elementary teachers that we have space for currently at the elementary levels to deal with class sizes. So again, a two-sided coin. Classrooms without teachers do not help us at the elementary level. And so we are addressing, and this board and the last board put in 2 additional teachers last year at the elementary level to help mitigate class sizes. So to answer your question, I would say, I don't have a real answer for when the exact planning starts, but my recommendation would be let's take what's in front of us and get it out the door and progressing, and then we can turn our eyes to the elementary plan.
Do we currently have classrooms to put those 2 teachers in?
In talking with those principals, we do. Remember, we took back some classroom space from the pre-K classrooms. Okay, that bought us some time, and so we need to take advantage of it and allow us to get the projects in front of us rolling.
So in regards to Mr. Scott's concerns regarding the public bid, can we just reconfirm what we've already agreed on? So can we just go around with comfortability levels for the public projects, bid projects that will be going out in July? Mr. Noggle?
What is the question?
The current bid project, like that we already agreed on. Is that yes or a no?
If I go back to the meeting that Mr. Scott brought up when we were talking about what we all wanted in this, Mr. Scott had made a mention that wanted everything broken out individually so that he could pick and choose. on that. Because if this gets tied into the budget, on a budget that Christie Business Administration Office did, I can't remember what the date was, that was tied into, there was comfort level in doing asset protection, stadium, and all soft costs. I think at that initial meeting, Mr. Scott requested all of these items to be broken out. I thought that was the motion, but apparently that was not the motion. So,
What was brought forth, asset protection was included
right, asset protection.
with these additions.
Go around the room. Let me think about that for a minute.
Dr. Goetz?
Yes, I'm confused about what the concerns are. I mean, these do look pretty broken out to me, and I mean, the short answer to your question is yes. I am comfortable with our previous decision and administration's recommendation. This is the scaled back, sort of bare bones version, realizing that we're not going to be able to make improvements to the high school again for a while, but this will get us to, I think, a good place to where we've made the changes that we need to make in order to, sort of succeed for the next few decades. Maybe that's a little too long, but at least for the next little bit, and allows us to, sort of move on and focus on other things in a bit. So, short answer, yes, I am comfortable with what I am seeing.
Thank you. Mr. Bard?
I am not comfortable with not having a traffic or what was going to go on with coming on this parent loop going out to Row Road. I never got an answer, asked that multiple times at multiple meetings, and I have gotten yet to get an answer to it. But the majority of the stuff on there I'm comfortable with. That is one thing that I am not comfortable with is the traffic flow that's going to happen. I've expressed my concern with that multiple times, and I just haven't got an answer.
Thank you, Mr. Bard. And can we get, Mr. Bard, that question regarding the traffic flow?
Can you let me know exactly what that question is again, Mr. Bard?
What's that?
What specifically is the question?
Oh, I've asked, what are you going to do with the traffic? It's when we come out of the parent loop, you're going to turn left and go out to Row Road. What are you going to do with that traffic once it backs up because there's still traffic coming in Row Road to go on past Beverly Drive to get back to the high school? So you're going to have to, these people coming out of there is going to have to turn left. What are we going to do to keep them from turning right?
So
Go right down through all the buses.
I recall talking about getting some traffic folks to help deal with the traffic, traffic police to manage that flow during those times. I believe our maintenance staff is certified to do that. So first of all, I think we need to see what it looks like first. We have to live it, and if it is a problem, then we would address it, by getting some, personnel there to direct traffic.
And I can ask K&W to give a little description of what they've presented to the borough and how they are going to address that issue.
He didn't have an answer last time. Mr. Bard answered the question. He asked K&W. The gentleman doing the design couldn't give him an answer.
I'm not sure if they had done their traffic study at that point, and I know they are in the process of doing their studies now, so they might have a better indication. So I will bring that to their attention tomorrow and try to get you guys the answer.
Mr. Kressler?
Wait, can I go back to because as I recall at a previous meeting, we did talk about this a little bit, and the fact that because there's a bus loop, there will be less traffic. You're pushing all of the traffic. I can't remember it all, but there should be less traffic headed towards Row Road. Because of the bus loop. I don't have the details because I don't have the drawings in front of me, but I felt like it would be less of a problem based on what the drawings were showing how traffic would flow, because we aren't letting people in from over by where the bowling alley used to be.
What I could do is have them do a colored drawing showing you the flow based on the design that was brought to the borough and see if that will help answer any questions. So I'll talk to K&W and EI tomorrow about that and see if we can, like I said, give you I've seen colored illustrations and that will show you who goes what direction at what times and everything and see if that eliminates or answers your questions.
I think I understand the flow. I think the flow is to come into Parent Loop and then come back out, and you're going back out to Row Road. You're not going to be turning right going down Eberly Drive because that's going to put you in with the buses. When you get to the end of Eberly Drive to Panola Road or that road there, people are going to want to turn left. The ideal thing would be all turn right because then you can just turn out. Well, that ain't going to happen. So to me, that's going to back to the loop. As people, because they're going to have the high school students coming in the back parking lot, going on back towards Volvo Way. You get in there, I just think you're going to put twice the traffic on Panola Road because you're taking all of it away from down by where the physical therapy place is at, where they all come in there now and go straight up towards school, the middle school.
Are there any staggered hours? Like I know our school staggers like student time arrivals, parent arrivals, bus arrivals. Not here. Okay.
Yeah, and I would just remind the board that the major reason we went after the grant was to solve the safety issues that currently exist at the intersection of Eberly and Park Place. Like that, when the politicians who helped us get that grant saw that, they were alarmed as well. And helped us get the grant funds to mitigate the cost of that loop, because that's the problem we were trying to solve, was the dangerous situation created at Eberly. And so this does solve this problem. Can you release two buildings at the same time with drivers and buses? There's going to be an element of traffic regardless. That's just the cost of doing business. I would say that this solution was engineered to mitigate that as best as possible and improve a safety condition where we have walkers, buses, and cars all converging on one spot. So like mission accomplished if we can clean up Eberly Park Place intersection and deal with some traffic snarls that are happening anyway.
So, isn't it? My mind is coming back to me. Only buses will come through the Park Place part, right?
Park Place is up to the middle school?
Yeah, so because that'll be blocked off, right?
So there won't be parent traffic. We get a longer runway on the loop to house that traffic that's lining up, but also the lineup to get Park Place is very narrow and congested. With the new loop, there's going to be a lot more looping, which gives a lot more spacing for cars to line up and push their way out through the loop. So a tight site, a difficult site to engineer, but at the end of the day, we have to remember what problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah, and Mr. Bart, I'm not diminishing your concerns at all, because I turn left on that every morning, or I get behind people trying to turn left and I'm trying to turn right. But I'm hoping the loop in and of itself will reduce some of that, but
I'm not against the safety of the kids. I just heard from the superintendent, if it works, and from you, hopefully it works. So we're going to spend $2.some million if it works, or hopefully if it works. That's where I'm at, and that's why I
think it does alleviate the safety problem regarding the students walking that way and with all of the parent traffic.
But you're going to still have students walk there. The students walk down, park in that parking lot across from the physical therapy place that don't have permits that walk every day. I mean, anybody wants to go there and sit. I mean, my business is right there. I see it every morning. Every morning I see it. And it is. I agree. It's a congested area, but you still got walkers going up that street. You got people pulling into the physical therapy place, dumping kids off. and they get out 4 and 5 out of a vehicle and take off up to the middle school. I just want to know, for me to spend $2 million on a loop, is it going to work? Yes or no?
Why don't I
engineers-
have them come to the next meeting, have K&W come with their drawing and their flow and can talk directly to you, and you guys can ask them those questions directly to K&W while they're still in the process of designing it in case something needs to be changed or re-looked at or whatever. Let's do it now while they're still designing instead of waiting till the end when it's already designed.
And I would say the engineers looked at the problem and they engineered a solution they believe is going to work. If I'm not 100% confident, because I'm not an engineer, but we paid people to solve this problem, and they came up with a solution that they believe will work. So if they believe it works, I believe it will work, Jim.
I wouldn't. Can they bring an alternative?
To the
loop?
flow?
Can they bring an alternative to the loop?
Well, maybe if like I said, next month, if they come to a meeting, we discuss that, perhaps they could do an alternative flow. But I would let them present the flow first and let them hear your concerns and then have that dialogue first and then go from there.
Mr. Kressler?
So in general, yeah, I'm okay with all of this stuff. Just one question. So the $3 million for elementaries, theoretically, we have money that could be left over from our barn borrow, so that's like closer to 4.5 million, ideally, pending cost of things as we go through projects. And then the interest that's there, is that money also available to be put back into elementary schools?
Yeah, I showed it at the bottom. So we are documenting that, your interest earned. So that is money you can put however you guys choose to use it, but that's what you're earning so far on the 2023 borrowing.
And then there's the extra money on the stadium bid that was less, that also could be used.
The 2022 borrowing.
Okay. All right. And then, fingers crossed, if at any point in our lifetimes the state funding formula gets solved, and we were to start getting a higher percentage of money revenue from the state, we could always, that would give us more borrowing capacity. Is that correct?
I would defer to Mrs. Lanson.
What did you say?
So let's just say that the state funding formula gets fixed in our lifetime, and we start getting like a higher amount. We could go back and then have the availability to have more borrowing capability. If we have, like right now, we have it set that this is what we're spending in debt service. But if we knew that we were getting more money in the future, would we be able to?
Correct. If our revenues would increase to the point where they would surpass our recurring expenses, we could certainly go out and borrow more money
Okay.
for future projects.
So in general, then I'm good with this.
Mr. Carey?
Mrs. Lentz, since you're our financial resident expert, I'm here to listen to anything you have to input on whether what we can afford or not. I know back in January's report, at one point you said you'd recommended at the bottom one of the pages asset protection at 8.9 and the field athletic stadium we could do. Has your opinion changed at all on that? Do we have any update?
As you all are aware, we are looking at a deficit of about $3 million. That's going to the index. So I would say I don't believe at this point we can afford much more than that until we see what the final numbers are from the state.
Much more than the stadium and the asset protection.
Correct.
That's who I would vote with. So I don't know what that means to you.
I also feel like that's not what was shared with the board.
It was in writing.
I've heard her say it before.
I hate to go against financial advice. I am not the financial expert. Probably most of us don't claim that. I just am concerned about the debt moving forward and just want to know we can afford what we can afford. That's all my concern is. If we can afford all this, I'm all for it, but that's not what I had heard a couple months ago. I'm curious if it changed at all or not.
Mr. Scott?
I'd like to have everything on that sheet. But in my life, I'd like to deal with more certainty. The middle school was, what, $1.9 million over budget?
At the middle school, 982,000 is set aside for the middle school.
How much over budget was it?
Oh, the middle school has not bid out yet. That's part of the public bid.
Did what?
That's part of the public
the past,
bid.
what we have done. What we have done in the middle school, weren't we over budget?
You were over budget on the prior middle school project.
Okay. So I don't want to, being over budget on the other project, not knowing how many kids we're going to have in the school, I'm not comfortable with this, because we may need to do the elementary before this high school. So if someone can guarantee me that, I'd be okay. Without that, I'm not comfortable with this.
Dr. Lyman?
I don't even know what to say. It's concerning to me that we have these presentations and we have very smart people who are engineers and who are architects who propose projects for us, and we go through the normal process of approving those projects, and everybody seems to be okay with it, and then a few months down the road, people suddenly decide they're not okay with it. I tend to put a lot of confidence in the experts that we have asked to design this and finance this. And so I'm 100% in favor, and I think we need to keep improving our schools and keep doing these projects that are once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to make Shippensburg a better place for our students and not be the laughing stock of the local area because our facilities are so bad. So I'm 100% in favor of this, and I think we need to move forward and stop dragging our feet.
Darren?
Yeah, I don't think anybody on the board here is saying that they don't want this stuff. I just think there's concerns if we can afford everything. It's one thing to want something and get it, but then when you got to pay for it later, especially it's not our money, that means tax increases. I know this is part of a borrowing process, so it doesn't dramatically affect taxes, but it does in the long term. I think for the parent loop, I'm in agreement with what Jim's kind of saying. If we're going to spend that kind of money, I would want to see an alternate possibly presented. In my opinion, I think there could be something done at a much cheaper price than what's currently on design. And as far as what Mrs. Lentz is saying, if it's Giza and the stadium, definitely in for that. And then if we can get assurance that we can afford the rest of this, then yeah. But on the other hand, we don't even have a definite answer on our elementary needs. It would be one thing if we had a list and said, this is what needs to happen, and this is when we're taking care of it. What I don't want to happen is going over budget on this and the stadium, and then turns out we have $3 million right now. Say we end up with less than that. That doesn't get us a whole lot for our elementary kids, and they are just as important as all the other students. And we know that space is tight currently, and we're looking at probably at least 2-3 years until we get something physically put in place there if we do need another building or another classroom. So that's definitely concerning for me.
Rashad, would we be able, when we put this out to bid, just to make them all like deducts or ads or like whatever makes sense? Like,
I will talk with EI. The only down part to that is contractors won't know what you're going to take, so they're going to put like their management, if you take one versus 8. It's going to be the same management. So if you do them all as alternates, you will see a higher cost as doing a base bid like you guys had voted back in February.
Okay, and that's the advantage of doing it as a base bid.
Is that?
That's the advantage of doing it as a base bid?
Yeah, because you got one big project, so therefore costs are spread out, versus one or two, and they don't know which ones you're taking, and it kind of becomes a shell game. I can talk to EI. Right now, they're doing it as this was the base bid. There were no alternates accepted in February, so that's how they proceeded, and that was what we were all proceeding on. I just want to remind, this project was scaled back to reduce your costs. That's what this scale back project is. Again, you just saved $1.5 million on your stadium. You have the $386 in interest earned through March, and also the $450 for the grant as well. So you'll see that on the one side, your project now is at $30.5 million versus $32 million. So you are at this point less because of the stadium. Hopefully the public bid will do in the same way as the stadium, but we won't know that until we actually bid out.
And so the board is aware, we're going to vote, the board's going to vote on the GISA portion of this on the 28th, and still have many opportunities to vote on this project, to put it out to bid and to accept those bids. So how we configure that bid that we put out, is important. I remember spending a very long time asking in that committee of the whole which parts we wanted to pull out and which parts we wanted to make as alternates or deducts. I don't recall, what came out of that meeting was an acceptance of the lien base bid. So, if there's still time for us to pull out and the board has individual pieces of this that they would like to see as deducts, we can do that. It just sounds like we're a little bit under the gun timeline-wise, correct?
We can do it. You have already spent the cost for the architectural fees for the design, so that's something you will not get back. That's why you did the whole exercise in February, to kind of stop the architect from designing something that you guys knew you were never going to do.
I
Save
remember
money
that
on
being
that
a
part.
priority for us to not waste fees, on things that we weren't going to build.
Right.
I think part of that discussion.
Right, but yeah, I can talk to EI and see how we can best structure it so you can see as much of a breakdown without being a detriment.
Okay.
So Darren, yes, no?
Everything that I said with that, yes to this, but I also would like some feedback on elementary. I don't want some of our students being left out until we know for certain what those needs are going to be. That's just how I would operate. This doesn't make sense to me how we're going about this project to begin with, but I'm just one person on the board, so.
Could I clarify? I feel like, and it may have been before you were on the board, we spent a lot of time going over a big, long 5-year plan that did include all of these projects plus the elementary school. So it's not like we're leaving the elementary school unplanned and we're concerned about the middle school, and we do have preliminary plans that we looked at, but it might have been a year or so ago.
I believe we came up with some different configurations of what the elementaries could look like and some very rough costs for those configurations.
So, and it may be that happened before some of our new members. It may be helpful to get those drawings and whatnot to them so they know what those thoughts were. Even though they were very preliminary, it still may be helpful if they're going on the assumption that we haven't made those plans.
Yeah, we can certainly look at what we had.
And then just to clarify for budget purposes, when we were looking at that $3 million deficit, we currently have level debt services budgeted, so approximately $3.4 million. Back in February, I had provided the board with analysis from PFM that showed if we move forward with the base bid, continuing the parent loop and the stadium, our annual debt payments will be about 2.8 million, so still about a $600,000 savings to what we currently have in the budget. If you only do the asset protection in the stadium, it's about a $2 million annual debt service fee, so it would be about $1.4 million.
Mr. Noggle?
I'm sorry, Ms. Lentz, will you repeat that first part? So you said, so what's the current, you said
3.4 million.
3.4 is what we're currently
Budgeting.
for debt service.
Correct.
With this lien-based project that's outlined in front of us, the debt service will be
Approximately 2.8 million.
2.8 million. Yeah.
So that's a savings.
Right, so that's $600,000 that are going to go back into the operating budget each year that is not presently accounted for in the operating budget revenue.
Correct. If you would decide not to borrow to the 3.4 million, you could put about 600,000 back in.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out one more time perhaps that when we say the level debt service, like that is level as in a dollar figure, not as a percentage of the district's revenue. And that dollar figure was level from like 8, 9, 10 years ago or whatever, when the revenue of the school district was significantly less than it is now. If it were to have remained level as a percentage of the district's revenue, that 3.4 million would be considerably higher. It would probably be closer to like 5 or so. So this is a very, I don't know, in my mind, based on our traditional tolerance for borrowing, this is a very conservative, low borrow, like burden, financial burden compared to what the district has done in the past, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Rochelle, would you be, not off the top of your head, but would you be able to provide the board the cost and fees and design elements that it's taken for us to get here so that we know what sunk costs we have to get us to this point at some point? Is that something you can calculate?
The design fees?
Yeah, just to get everything to get us here.
Yeah, it's over $1 million.
Okay, thank you. I mean, if you can get me an actual,
Sure.
I can share with the board later.
Mr. Noggle?
No, not currently. I want to get to the elementary designs.
I'll get to my answer here, but all students are equally important and deserve equitable facilities. It's not that we're prioritizing any students over another. It made sense whenever working on design that the greatest needs were at the high school and the middle school, and that's where we started. We've seen profound growth at the elementary schools, which were trends that kind of came out of nowhere. They were unprecedented and continue to grow, and they do continue to grow and do need to be addressed. As far as like the concerns with the budget, I'm a little irritated that when we were talking about with the acquisition of the admin building, that the administrative recommendation was to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. What was it, 750,000, upwards to close to $1 million for that? Like, had we known, that it was going to be, a concern, maybe decisions might have been a little different. But we've put a lot of man hours, money, time to get here for our students to receive the facilities that they deserve. So I'm staying the course, and I'm a yes as well. So that's 6 yes, 3 no's to continue moving forward with what we have, with some, regarding the traffic studies, but.
Rochelle, are you ready to move on? I see you have two more slides. We're running a little late here.
All right, so I just want to do a next steps, just to give you a guide of where we are. So on the 28th, you will award the Amendment 5 for the asset protection if the district chooses to. In June, if you do award, we will start construction for the first part of the asset protection and go through the summer of 2024. The public bid construction documents will be done at the end of June, beginning of July. They will wait until, again, we get approvals from the MPDS, which will not be until September. So we will come back to the board in July. We will present a construction document estimate to show you where the public bid project is standing compared to the design development costs, which I showed in the slide prior. In September, when we receive the MPDS permit, we will come back to the board and ask for permission to go out to bid with the public bid project, and then we will have the bid period from September into beginning of October for the public bid, and then we will come back to the board, present those numbers, and then you guys will choose to move forward or not with that portion of the project or a version thereof, if we can break some areas out. We will start construction at that time then in October, and then we will have the new additions done for your start of your school year in August of 2025, and then we will close out the projects in September and October of 2025. So that's kind of the timeline. And also the second part of the GISA will take place in the summer of 2025. So we'll have it all wrapped up for you by the start of your 25-26 school year.
So, I mean, ultimately, October, the board will be able to make a decision based on real numbers for this project and can reject it, wholesale or, at that point.
Correct.
Okay.
In a very similar fashion to what we're doing today in regards to the stadium bids.
Correct. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Thank you. I'll get you that information, and I can set up that meeting then with K&W if you guys want for next month, and they can go through the traffic study with you and the flow and everything, and hopefully answer all of your questions. Okay?
And in the meantime, I mean, at another time, I would just ask the board members individually to look through the current high school project, and if there's something that there's a consensus that we should use as an add to duck, I would need to know that, in order to get that to, well, first of all, get it voted on, and then get it to EI. If there's a part of this project that outside of the loop that has already been discussed, within that, there's something else you think you want to cut as a board, then, we can put it on as a deduct.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer anything or find the answers for you.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our committee of the whole. Moving into the planning and action meeting. Ms. Lenz, can you do roll call, please?
Mr. Jim Bard.
Here.
Mr. Mike Carey.
Here.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Here.
Mr. Darren Donovan.
Here.
Dr. Nathan Goetz.
Here.
Dr. Michael Lyman.
Here.
Mr. Fred Scott.
Here.
Mr. Kurt Noggle.
Here.
Ms. Steph Eberly.
Here.
Mr. Aryan Gounkar.
Here.
Ms. Lily Cow.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we begin our deliberations this evening, let us once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of this school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of need or ability. This meeting is being live streamed and uploaded to the district's YouTube channel. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students in the Shippensburg Area School District. And may we also have a moment of silence for Mary Jane Semple, 75, who was a 1967 graduate of Shippensburg High School, and Karen Killian, 1965 graduate. Are there any changes to this evening's agenda?
No, ma'am.
Is there a motion to approve item 1F?
So moved.
Motion made by Dr. Lyman. Is there a second?
Fred Scott, second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Citizens' comments regarding agenda items. Seeing as there are none. Wait,
Is that on an agenda item, Mr. Weber? Okay.
Great. So come on up. Please identify yourself by name and indicate which agenda item you're speaking. Address all comments to the board as a whole and make sure they are in the form of a statement. Questions will be taken under advisement. Responses to questions will be offered after due deliberation and will be provided by the superintendent at the direction of the board within a few days of the meeting. You'll be allowed 3 minutes for your comments. Comments relative to private student matters or personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate school authority outside of this meeting. The presiding officer reserves the right to interrupt or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant.
My name is Anthony Weber. I live here in the district. I'm also an 8th grade teacher. And this is in regard to 4-H. Here we go. It is with immense displeasure that I am speaking here to you tonight. Almost 2 years ago, I, as the Shippensburg Area Education Association president, brought forth a concern about ESSER positions at an ABA meeting. I was met with bewilderment with being so concerned about something that wasn't going to happen for well over a year. Well, here we are losing important resources in our schools, support programs that help some of our neediest students in regard to math and reading. When I learned that some of our ESSER funding was being used to add interventions for reading and math, I was ecstatic but concerned. Now we are standing here saying that not only can we not fund these pertinent positions, we are also shuffling our librarians once again. Very disappointing. The hard work and dedication of the faculty that stepped up in the ESSER positions has not gone unnoticed. They have tirelessly worked to help our students who struggle with math and reading. Part of this intervention process is necessary to determine who does and does not move forward to testing for special education services. It will leave students, some of whom will not qualify for special education services, to struggle in the classroom. At the same time, it will hinder the special education evaluation process and delay some of our students even further. I was going to give you an example of my daughter working this year with a reading specialist to get back on grade level, but instead I will focus on the whole building. Our librarian at the middle school has taught in numerous classrooms, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. We've had her come into our ELA classrooms and provide instructions that bridge the gap between the reading and writing in the classroom and the research done in the media center. Now even that is going to be taken away. I do realize that this is a truly difficult decision to make for our upper administration, and I know through discussions with Mr. August that any change of this type would be met with disgruntled and mentally defeated teachers. I am concerned that our building level administrators were removed from this equation and not given the chance to advocate for students and teachers in their respective buildings. You are the school board. You make extremely difficult and pivotal decisions regarding the students of our community. So I only ask you this one request. When you look at future decisions, whether curricular or fiscal in manner, ask yourself this one question. Will it hurt students? If so, then you know what you need to do, because this decision to remove interventions will do just that. It will hurt our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Is there any others? Moving on to reports, our student representatives, Ms. Kell and Mr. Gankar.
Thank you. Club pictures for the yearbook were taken on Friday, April 26th. Advanced placement exams were and will be administered from May 6th through May 16th. The basketball championship game was held at the high school on May 9th during Flex by the advanced sports class. Accepted Students Day was held during Block 4 on May 3rd. Applications for the Carlisle Health Exploration Program are now available for high school sophomores. This program allows students to explore careers in medicine and provide experiences in the medical field at Carlisle Hospital. The final Sash's Coffee House show will be held on May 15th this week in the library. The event features great live music and focuses on graduating seniors. The Best Day Ever event, formerly known as the Special Olympics Track and Field Day, will be hosted by the high school on May 22nd. 11th and 12th graders interested in volunteering can provide aid during this event. The senior trip is on May 17th to Pittsburgh. They will be attending the Pittsburgh Zoo and ending the day at Kennywood Amusement Park. I will now pass the rest of the report to Arian Gonkar.
For the middle school, the SAMS PTO Administration and Student Council celebrated teachers and staff for Teacher Appreciation Week last week with a coffee bar, snack cart, gifts, and a luncheon. 8th grade students in quadratics will take the Algebra Keystone this week. 5th grade students will be at SAMS on May 20th for their 6th grade orientation. And finally, SAMS PTO is hosting an 8th grade end of the year party at Memorial Park on May 22nd.
Sorry, I missed a portion of the high school happenings. On May 20th, the Women's Empowerment Club will be traveling to Washington, D.C. for their first field trip. They will be attending a Women's History walking tour of D.C. hosted by A Tour of Her Own, and then will attend the National Archives to attend their Women's History exhibit. Derek Lynch set a school record in discus, receiving first place at Mid-Penns with 170 feet, and earned the opportunity to attend nationals at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Sharp's audition will be held for the 2024 to 2025 school year on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. On May 21st, students interested in aircraft maintenance will be able to attend the Piedmont Airlines open house to learn more about tuition payments, tour an aircraft, and network with aircraft employees.
Thank you. Board committee reports. County Career and Tech Report, Dr. Lyman.
The Career Tech Board met on the 25th of April. Probably the big item of the meeting was that there was a tentative agreement reached between the Teachers Association and the technical school. That was nice. They had some remembrances for some important people at the school that have recently passed away, Mary Butts and Sally Brooks. Mary was a nursing director, the practical nursing director there, and Sally Brooks was a major donor. There's a building named after her there. They currently have 1,114 students. They were recently able to pull 14 off of the wait list. There's a new program there, the Workforce Development Program. One of the nice things about the Workforce Development Program is if a student wants to go to the Career Tech Center, but they're on the waiting list, they can start in the Workforce Development Program while they're waiting to get into the program of their choice. There was a really cool presentation by students. There were 6 gold medals awarded at the state Skills USA competition. One of the gold medals was for our own Corey Moyer in the graphics program from Shippensburg. And they are headed to nationals for a similar competition. That's all.
Safety and security.
The Safety Committee met on May 1st, the Operations Building. In attendance for that were Mr. Long, Mr. Lindemuth, Chief Young, a gentleman named Scott Stahl from CLPS Consultants, and myself. Mr. Stahl gave us a presentation on the software used for the emergency communication and security software the district has. Also, we discussed a successful intruder drill that was conducted at one of the elementaries, maybe both. I don't remember.
All the buildings.
Okay, well, I was right. I put elementary schools in plural, so I was right. And an upcoming training that will be held next month. Chief Young also gave us an update on the SRO program that's gone through the school district this year. That's all.
Dr. Goetz, Policy Committee.
Yeah, so the Policy Committee met a week ago, let's see. So most of the time that we spent there was working through a policy regarding public comment, I think, and that is not available for first read yet. There's still some stuff there we're trying very hard to get that right. But you will see on the agenda, on the discussion agenda today for first read, a lot of other policies that we went through, and you can look at those. But the committee did some pretty good work, and we were told that in a recent, I can't remember what organization it was, but somebody was here looking through our policies and was very impressed with how far we have gotten in sort of updating our policies, and that we're doing much better than the average bear in regards to our policy, I don't know, updatedness. So we can feel pretty good about that, I think.
Very good. Athletics?
Yep, the athletic committee met on May 8th at the Ops building. Those in attendance were Mr. August, Ms. Fannis, Mr. Bard, Mr. Donovan, myself, and Ms. Wolfinger. Sarah gave us an update on the spring sports seasons. Boys and girls track team both finished with 4-2 records. Baseball was 14-4 up to that point. Softball was 11-8. Sports physicals are scheduled for June 6th from 8 to 10, and signups are available online. Fall sports signups are starting later this week. I think high school this week, middle school next week. We discussed when the fall sports seasons actually start, and the themed events for football games this fall, which include items like homecoming, Hall of Fame induction night, and band night, among other things. Community night is scheduled for August 16th from 5 to 7 inside the high school. Reserved seating for football games goes on sale August 1st. All paperwork for athletes to be eligible to play fall sports is due July 29th. Finally, we discussed practice field locations with the construction of the stadium that will be going on for the summer and early fall. We also did discuss district activity fees for sports and the possibility of waiving those no earlier than the 2025-2026 school year. And that was it.
Thank you. Curriculum report, Dr. Donat.
Good evening, everybody. So the first item that I wanted to share with you is our Career Advisory Council met on May 8th. Twice a year, our Career Advisory Council meets to hear about the district's progress on meeting our career educational goals. And I want to thank Volvo, who hosted the event for us, and our community leaders, business representatives, and school board members who made time to attend that meeting. At each level, elementary, middle school, and high school, the district includes instruction on essential skills, career resource information, and exposure to career options. So some examples of the essential skills that students learn and that we teach are self-regulation, teamwork, problem-solving, conflict resolution, self-advocacy, career, and mindfulness. And we also do exposure to career options. This year, for example, at the middle school, they heard presentations on being a graphic designer, an interior designer, serving in the military, careers in law enforcement, and teaching. For next year, they are planning to have presentations from video game designers, doctors, representatives from farming, nursing, exercise science, and mechanics to be able to present to the middle school. So if you are familiar with people who are in those fields and might be interested in presenting to middle schoolers, our middle school guidance counselors would love to hear from them. And then at the high school level, we had 43 students participate in work-based learning experiences. They conducted mock interviews, resume and cover letter workshops in partnership with Shippensburg University for the high school juniors. And on April 17th, we had our high school career day. During this career day, 46 businesses and organizations attended as presenters, and over 50 businesses and organizations attended the job fair. A special thank you during this career advisory meeting to students Maddie Kaufman and Leo Blount, who presented their experiences in the in those career activities to our community members. And that is pretty much the summary of what happened during that career advisory meeting. Again, thank you, board members, for taking time to attend that. Our next update is regarding assessments. We're at the height of our academic assessment calendar for the academic year. And I want to say a special thank you to all of our district teachers who work diligently to prepare students for success with these assessments, and to our building principals and the school assessment coordinators who ensure a secure testing environment and a positive environment for students to support them as they're taking what feels like very high stakes testing. We completed the PSSA testing on May 2nd for grades 3 through 8. We're currently conducting diagnostic assessment testing for iReady, Acadience Math and ELA, and IXL through May 17th. Our Keystone testing started today and will conclude on May 21st. And data from all of these efforts will be made available hopefully by the end of July. Any questions for me? All right. Thank you all so much for your attention.
Thank you. Finance report, Mrs. Lenz.
Good evening. So I wanted to provide the board with an update on the Community Eligibility Provision Program. If you recall, I had presented some information at the last Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and there were some open-ended questions. And some of those were like the considerations or drawbacks for moving into this program. So some of the things that are were in question were, how do we distribute our Title I funds? How is our E-rate standing or funding reimbursement percentage calculated? How do we track and report economically disadvantaged students? What do we do if we use the free and reduced meal applications to determine if district fees are waived or reduced? And then what do we do if we end up losing money through the program because you cannot subsidize, you cannot use food service account monies to subsidize the loss? So we would have to do a transfer from our general fund into the cafeteria fund to cover any loss from this program. So if you recall, Mrs. DeLong, you can move on. One more slide, please. So if you recall, I had shared this with you. This is the calculation that we run through in order to participate in the Community Eligibility Provision Program. It's based on the number of direct certifications through the state. So those families that apply for other benefits through the state, we get that information, and then they become eligible for free meals in the district. So this is the only information that the state looks at when they're trying to determine this eligibility in the program. So I'm going to move down to line C quickly. So what you do is you take your identified students as direct certs, your number of students enrolled in the building, you come up with your identified student percentage. You want that percentage to be as close to 6.25% or above in order to ensure that you're not going to lose any money into this program. So as you can see, Jamesburg is the closest at 59.62%. So then what you do is you take the identified student percentage and you multiply it by a 1.6 factor that the state determined. And that determines how many students we will get reimbursed for at a free meal rate. So 95% of the students in that building, we would get reimbursed for the free lunch rate. About 4.61% we would get reimbursement from the state at the paid lunch rate, which is substantially lower than the free lunch rate. So then I had provided the board with some financial estimates of what it would look like if we did Jamesburg only, if we did Nancy Grayson only, if we combined schools. So I'm not going to go over this slide, but I just put it back in there as a reminder of what this would look like. So since the last Budget and Finance Committee meeting, I went and did some research. And I talked to Chambersburg Area School District, who actually operates this in their elementary school buildings. And I asked the question, what do you do? How has this changed the distribution of your Title I funds? And they said, since they are school-wide with their Title I funding, and each school receives that 1.6% multiplier, the CEP multiplier, it did not change the ranking of how they distribute the Title I funds among eligible buildings. So in speaking with Mrs. DeLong today, we confirmed that based on the current ranking that I have calculated there with the CEP program, it would not change our rankings either. So then I asked the question to them, what about reporting and tracking of economically disadvantaged students, since we no longer will be gathering free and reduced lunch applications should the board approve moving into this program for a school or certain schools. So what they do is every year they send home a letter and survey at the beginning of the year for those schools that are enrolled in the CEP program to try to obtain that economically disadvantaged information to be able to report through PIMS. And then I contacted PDE, Pennsylvania Department of Education's E-rate consultant, and I asked some questions. And they said usually, we'll back up, so same as Title I, they use the 1.6 multiplier that's used in the CEP school calculation. As a result, they're saying that most schools either stay the same at their current E-rate percent, or sometimes they go up. Currently, the district has an 80% reimbursement, which is extremely high. So then the next thing I ask is of PDE, Division of Food and Nutrition, we have just recently went out to rebid for our food service management company. And I questioned if we went to the CEP program, would we have to rebid our food service management contract? And as you can see there, they highlighted information in the contract that says the SFA reserves the right to add or expand the federal CN programs to provide the availability of food resources to children and students. So no, we do not have to rebid. However, they said that I would need to have a conversation with the food service management company to be agreeable to move into this program. So in talking with the food service management company, when they submitted their proposal in the bid this year, they submitted it based on us participating in the National School Lunch Program and the National School Breakfast Program. So they had estimated that we would have a profit of about $99,000, which then they were willing to guarantee a profit of $100,000. So that guarantee goes away because moving into this program, we could end up facing a loss, and they weren't able to submit their proposal based on that information. And at the last meeting, we had some board members ask, what is our outstanding meal debt? So I went back, and since the implementation of the district have to carry this burden, which started in the 14-15 school year, you can see what the annual increase has been and what our total debt is year to date. So year to date, we're carrying a balance of about $107,000. And then down below, year to date, you can see what those balances are per building. I don't have last year's numbers per building, but if the percentages stay pretty similar, this year alone, Jamesburg will have gone up by about $3,781. If you look at all the elementary schools together, we're about $16,000.
Do those debts accumulate, or is that just every year that's how much it was?
That's accumulated.
So okay.
Yep. So then in the column, you can see the annual increase. Mrs. Stoll, you can move on to the next slide. So then we are recommending from the administration that we pilot this program at Jamesburg only for the 2024-25 fiscal year. And still, even though we did research to find out what does this mean for like our E-rate, what does it mean for state funding, we still don't know the definite impact of the whole reporting, the food service claiming. So by just starting out with one school, this will allow the district to gain further insights into the program and the understanding and the differences in reporting. And if there would be a negative financial burden on the district, we're going to minimize it by only doing one school and not a group of schools together.
Sorry, can I add something there? In addition, I'm sure we're up to this, but this would create a fairly natural experiment to look at other things that are impacted by feeding all of the children all the time. Like we could compare James Byrd to Nancy Grayson on all manner of academic achievements and attendance and all kinds of things like that.
I mean, I think that's something that would become a possibility in our discussions administratively. I mean, I think even though there are unknown knowns that make all of us a little hesitant to just do it full board. We'd like to see what the impact is on finances, but also the different things that we have to report out on. So, to our mind, dipping our toe rather than jumping into the deep end of the pool made it a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here that we could learn because we're just doing it. I mean, obviously, I would like to do all the schools, but just doing one school does provide for that sort of natural experiment opportunity.
And gives the administration time to feel all the ramifications that might occur.
So the plan is, in order to meet the state deadline, we have to apply to the state by no later than June 30th of this fiscal year. So this would become a discussion item at the next board meeting, go on for approval on June 10th, and then the business office and the food service office would have between June 10th and June 30th to get the application filed with the state. And then just a quick reminder on the budget timeline, we have a Budget and Finance Committee scheduled before the next board meeting at 6 o'clock. And hopefully we can stick to this timeline. The board approved a proposed final budget on April 22nd, and hoping that the board would be able to adopt the final budget at the June 10th meeting. And that's all I have. Is there any other questions?
What is the process for collecting the outstanding lunch debt?
So I think the policy committee is in the process of updating those policies and procedures. So during COVID, that stopped because everybody was free. So now that we have updated policies and procedures in place, we will begin those for next fiscal year. I do not have them memorized. I can certainly bring them at the next meeting.
And this isn't necessarily a you question, but more a comment maybe that our food service company might be able to aid us on regarding the app that we use to add funds to the balance. They're not good at giving like when it's getting low or a negative. Like you can even click on an alert and you don't get those until your kid's like, Mom, can you put money in my account? And it's like negative 25 and it's like, we're on the school board, we should not have negative accounts, but I think that we could definitely get better with some notifications.
I believe I'd have to have Dr. Stevens help me. I believe some of that was with Skyward, the student services. However, we are looking to move to Premier Edge. We had the board approve that, and I believe their system is a little bit better at allowing parents. We haven't gone through it yet, but from my understanding is parents can set limits, like when my child hits a $10 positive balance, send me a notice so I know to put money on their account.
Would be helpful.
It would be helpful.
Just never missing an opportunity to point out unfunded mandates. When the state legislature decided that, the lunch refusals were not a thing, which is a great idea. They didn't provide the financial ways to mitigate that. So that falls back on the local districts.
Are there any districts that are utilizing this across the whole district, like in all their buildings?
I'm sure there is, but I don't know them off the top of my head.
Typically, very high poverty districts would fall under this.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Enrollment report. The headline is we are slightly down from our recent high. The elementary levels 1,159, K through 3. Intermediate school 554. Our middle school has 830 students, and our high school has 1,106 with 31 students at placements for a grand total of 3,680. 3,680 students total. The board may recall that we were flirting with 3,700 not that long ago. Moving on to the donation report. American Legion, $300 donation towards the FFA. Weiss Market, $25 donation to the Best Day Ever. Drake's Orthodontics, monetary donation of $100 to the Best Day Ever event, and Beistel Company monetary donation of $100 towards the Best Best Day Ever event, which is upcoming and a fabulous event that I think I personally am looking forward to, and I think a lot of our students are as well. So thanks to all the teachers that are pulling that together. Last one is kind of bittersweet. We want to recognize our student board members for their efforts. I know it's every teenager's dream to come to board meetings. You've got to live that for at least 2 years. So congratulations. Lily, we're so proud of you in seeing that you're going to stay somewhat local, going to Dickinson College on a full tuition scholarship, majoring in history, which also hits my heart, and I'm minoring in pre-law and gender studies, ultimately going to law school. Ariane going to Shippensburg University with a major in biology in the pre-med track, and hopefully going to medical school. So 2 outstanding students. It's been a pleasure having you here. And we do have some mementos for your time here. If you want to come forward, we can take a picture. So on behalf of the school director, Ariane, we'd like to give you this plaque of your time. There you go. I'm grateful board for your time. And if you want to come here, maybe get a picture. Thank you very much, guys. And I'm not seeing anything else for the superintendent's report. I think we can move on.
Madam President, may I say something?
Please.
I have gone to Shippensburg schools my whole entire life, K through 12, all 13 years of my schooling. And I would just like to thank the district and all of my amazing teachers and administrators. I wholeheartedly believe I wouldn't be a successful student without them. I've never gone to school anywhere else, but I think that I am on this path for a reason, and I've gone to these schools for a reason. And I know that the school district isn't perfect, but there's no such thing as a perfect school district. And I would like to thank the board not only for such an amazing opportunity to be, the student representative, but also for giving me such an amazing school career. And there has been my ups and downs, but like any student, there will be those. And I do think that I wouldn't be successful without Shippensburg Area High School and district in general. So I just wanted to thank you and recognize this bittersweet moment of, going to college, but also leaving this chapter of my life behind. But I'm very grateful for it. So I just wanted to thank you all.
Consent agenda. Item 4A, we have the approval of minutes, which are attached. The finance reports. We have the Sam's field trip to the Lurgan Avenue warehouse. 4D, we have the Sam's field trip. That's the math challenge at the CAIU. Item 4E, the James Byrd second grade field trip to the Maryland Theater. The item 4F, the 7th grade science curriculum. Administration recommends the approval of the attached curriculum. Item 4G is the memorandum of understanding between the school district's Support Professional Association for the extended school year. Item 4H for the professional and support staff. First up, we have the resignation for the purpose of retirement for Mr. Michael Peters. He's a language arts teacher at the high school, effective the last day of the 23-24 school year, and he has 26 years with the district. So thank you, Mr. Peters, for your commitment and dedication. You definitely have a lasting impression on our students. We have leave of absences, the involuntary transfer, item number 4 for the librarian, Mr. Burkholder, from the high school to librarian at the middle school. and I'm sorry, let me reread this. From librarian at the Shippensburg Area High School to librarian at the Shippensburg Middle School and the high school. Salary remains the same. Other transfers, terminations, and appointments. And especially wanted to note personnel item number 74, Sarah Tontarski. She's the school psychologist she's going to be our school psychologist. If she is approved tonight, this has been on for more than a year, so it's great that we have a successful candidate. Is there a motion to approve items 4A through 4H?
So moved.
Motion made by Dr. Goetz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carey. Discussion?
I'll be real quick. Mr. Peters' retirement. So I had Mr. Peters as an 8th grade English teacher when I was a kid at like 13 or 14 years old. I remember I used to call him old back then. And now I've come to realize he really wasn't all that old back then. But he not only was, I mean, he lists teacher here, which he was a tremendous teacher then, and I know still is now, but he also in the district was a basketball coach, was a softball coach, runs Channel 74 News, which I hope somebody continues because I enjoy my 7 minutes twice a week watching that with our kids. And then even outside of that, as a community member with his ice cream shop, he's done numerous fundraisers and given money back to our elementary PTOs and other things. So in general, just a great human being, but I wish him nothing but the best in his retirement.
Agreed. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a question on 4H and on the replacement of librarian. Who's going to be librarian at the high school then if we're moving them?
So it's a split position. So Mr. Burkholder is going to have responsibilities at the high school and at the middle school as the librarian. And then in the budget, there's an aide, a library aide position that will allow access to the library opposite Mr. Burkholder. So the library can be open for students to access it.
Any additional questions?
So I would just recognize that some of these are difficult decisions being made, as was mentioned previously, and just express deepest gratitude to our teachers, and especially welcoming some of these new ones for helping us through a difficult time here, and I hope we get through it. But just wanted to really recognize these staff and teachers for all the work that they will be doing and have been doing.
Well, is there a chance that if the state gives us more money, we can fulfill these positions, keep these positions?
So just remember that there's a lot of moving parts. I think I communicated out the rationale for all these. Right now, Mrs. Lentz talked about the $3 million deficit. This particular one is a part of that process as we're moving individuals to fill other spaces. It creates gaps. And so in order to make it work and not add additional deficit spending, it's a tough call. So to your point, Fred, anything's possible in terms of, if the budget were to come back and the board's will is to go in a different direction, we certainly could do that. But to my mind, this is what we need to do in order to move forward and mitigate some of the challenges of the 8-9 ESSER positions that we're having, and I think there's a total of 17 that we're adding as well. 2 ESL teachers, 2 elementary teachers, 2 special ed teachers, an additional specials teacher at the elementary level. So the total bargaining unit has actually grown. When you look at this, it's basically we're adding on this budget that's already a challenge, a very small elementary school. With the number of positions that the board is committed to, at somewhere you have to make tough decisions. I would just say, a reminder that this board has added 4 teachers to the middle school in order to balance out the teams, and has agreed to have the second principal there to stabilize the administration because they've been a great team. So tough challenges for sure. None that are fun or easy to make, but I think it would behoove us to look at the bigger picture of how much we've added to the district as a whole.
I agree, and I know it's a hard process where you go through, and I just wondered, every year we don't spend as much as we're supposed to, and we get state money. I would like to have the hope that the money could be spent on those positions we're eliminating rather than put in a fund balance. Maybe it can't be done, but
so that is not a problem this year, Fred. I mean, it's a $3 million deficit.
But that's without the state money, right?
That's with a portion of the state money. So we build in $200 million in basic education funding, our portion of $200 million, our portion of $50 million in special education funding, and we prorated 30% of the $870 million of the adequacy. So if you raise taxes to the index, and if we get that state funding, we're at a deficit of almost $3.5 million. If we would get 100% of the governor's budget and you raise taxes to the index, we're still at a $1.6 million deficit.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action agenda, item 5A, the expulsion waivers. The parents of the student in the case waive their right to a formal student discipline hearing before the board of directors. Administration recommends the student be placed in the Keola program. Two cases. The second case, again, waived their rights, and administration recommends that the student be placed in Keola, which is our virtual learning platform. Is there a